Greetings. I want to present to you about the 2025 financial statement to date for Unity Church and talk about some budget modifications, then talk about the proposed 2026 budget, which you'll have a chance to vote on in the near future. You'll have in front of you the data that you need, the spreadsheet that we use to create the budget, and so you'll be able to see all these facts and figures as I go through them or refer back to them later if you would like. So we have had a good year. The Lord has blessed in many ways, but we have had some challenges, if you will, in some areas where we've gone over budget for any number of reasons, and I'll explain those to you in just a moment. But for the year to date, we are above budget in our income and below budget in total expenses, and that's always a really good thing. And we have an excess of some $83,000 that we've been able to have over the year because the Lord is blessed and you have given generously. So we thank you for that. And by the way, I do want to mention that I'm presenting today on behalf of our finance committee. That's Cammie, Melvin, Kelly, Dixon, and Joe Phillips. And then also on behalf of our finance manager, Keene, I'm Ron Preston, the church treasurer. And together, the five of us make up the team that monitor most closely our church budget, our church finances, and create the budget for the next year. All of these facts and figures that I'm giving you today have also been approved by our church deacon board, and so it's gone through a proper vetting process. Our tithes and offerings for this year, for 2025 through October, are up $122,000, and so what a blessing that is. And we've been able to meet a goal that the deacons have had for a couple of years, and that is really not to depend on special offerings to balance our budget. That'll come back when we look at the budget for 2026 as well. Our expenses for administrative cost and for general maintenance have been just a little bit over budget for the year, but our ministries and missions budget have been quite a bit under budget for the year, allowing us to be some $38,000 under budget in terms of expenses. So again, the Lord is blessed there. Do have a number of budget modifications, and I'll explain many of these as we go through them, telling why we're over budget. Our advertising budget is over the most of any of these, and it's because we've entered into a social media advertising campaign, and that's been a great blessing for us in terms of being able to get out what Unity is doing, the good things that we're doing, and attract new members to the church. But we've also been over some in dues and subscriptions, partly because our attendance has been up, cell phone up some just because of some increase of expenses there. And then we have some small amounts, for instance, auto allowance that's up some because the federal reimbursement rate for mileage has gone up some this year. Utilities up just a bit, primarily because of increased use of the building. We do have some things now that the building is 10 years old that need to be maintained a little more regularly than in the past, and so that's been up some. And then the next set that you see here includes some furnishing equipments. We had to buy some things for the building this year. We have two youth items that are increased by a fair bit. That's because we've had more youth coming to our events. And so what a good problem to have there. The other category that I'll mention is kitchen supplies. And this year, the kitchen committee decided we needed another refrigerator. And so that purchase in itself put us over the budget. Otherwise, that would have been right in line with everything else. So we'll be asking you as a church to soon vote on these budget modifications, approve them if you would. And now, looking forward to our 2026 budget, kind of a few highlights before we even look at the data. We're asking for a 9.6 increase over the 2025 budget for projected expenses. That's because we have several things going on that you'll see here in just a little bit, but a couple of those of particular note are we're setting aside some monies now for maintenance in case we have a big expense. Roofing repair, roofing needs to be replaced, a heat air conditioning unit that goes out. And so we're setting aside some money there each year for that contingency, kind of a rainy day fund. We also are looking to have a little bit of money set aside additionally for some administrative help, for some staff positions that might come on as either part-time, possibly even full-time, but more likely part-time in the year of 2026 to help us out with some of the additional work that needs to be done in a growing church. We are asking for projected revenues to be increased 9.8% over the 2025 budget. However, that's just a 3% increase in projected 2025 revenues, particularly and almost all coming from increase in tithes and offerings. And so we think that's a very doable thing. Our proposed revenues this coming year, for the first time in 10 years, do not depend on special offerings. Now, for any special offering we would have, the first $20,000 from that needs to go toward budgeted expenses so we don't lose a Sunday completely to a special offering. But after that, all the monies could go to whatever special cause we looked to fund. Here's your budget summary for 2026, and keep in mind those highlights that I just gave you, and particularly with those administrative costs going up. Not all of that, of course, is personnel, but a pretty good piece of that is for personnel, for some additional part-time staffing to help us do the work here of the ministry. Building and grounds is the other place where we have a fairly large increase in our projected budget. And that's, again, because we're setting some money aside. We also have some special projects from the trustees that need to be done sooner rather than later. And then we have smaller increases in ministries and missions, but both of those because we have more people in the church. So our total expenses, our total revenues come very close to balancing out with just a balanced budget with a small excess projected right now for the year. And then I mentioned we're not depending on special offerings. When you look at the revenue summary, you'll see special offerings occupies a small place in the budget because we do get some designated funds from time to time. Those can be used for general expenses. But when we have a special offering, now we'll be able to say, for whatever special cause we're raising funds for, all the funds for that after $20,000 will go toward that special event, toward that special effort, and we'll be able to do that without having any impact on the budget. And so you do see some interest income there as well. So with that, the Finance Committee recommendation, also seconded, if you will, by the deacons, approved by the deacons, is that we ask you as a church body, our church membership, to approve the 2025 year-to-date budget modifications, that list of 2 slides there that you saw, and then also to approve our proposed 2026 budget. We thank you so much for your consideration. There will be the ability for you to ask questions about this and then have those answered. And our intent then is to take those questions that you ask and share them with the church, because if you have the question, it's likely somebody else will have that same question as well. So we'll share those questions and answers with the church. And so we look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to working with you. And we ask you that you would just continue to prayerfully and generously support the church as God blesses us. Thank you.